What's going on, guys? It's Watts Locks, and I'm here to cover UFC Atlanta, Usman versus Buckley. So without further ado, let's get into these fights. Now, on the first breakdown, we got Vanessa Demopoulos versus Jamie Lynn Horth. Now, I'm going to start off by taking Jamie Lynn Horth, and I'm pretty confident in this. And it's tough to say from a betting standpoint if you should have any action on this, because I'm really not that fond of either fighter in this situation. And when you look at the breakdown of this fight, now you have Vanessa, who's taking this fight on short notice, and she's fighting up a weight class, which is a red flag. And then secondly, beyond the short notice fight, Horth has a 5-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. So she's literally the bigger fighter, and she's more skilled in almost every aspect. The only thing Horth needs to really worry about here is the ground game of Demopoulos, but with such the weight advantage and the length advantage and the height advantage, when they get on the ground, she should have a clear advantage here. And while I don't think Horth is all that special, I do think she should have what it takes to beat Demopoulos here. And these odds are kind of crazy, but when you think about it, and it really does make sense. Demopoulos is likely taking this fight just for a check. So the fact that Horth is she's had a full fight camp, she's bigger in every aspect, she's more skilled, and Demopoulos is taking this on short notice and fighting up a weight class, it's pretty clear that Horth should win this. And it's tough to call either a submission or decision win for Horth. Considering Horth hasn't had a finish in the UFC so far, I'll have to lean towards the decision. And Vanessa has decent ground game too. She can throw up an armbar or something like that. So, I mean, she's not useless off her back. So I think she likely will make it to the scorecards. So with that being said, I'll go Horth by decision. I'm confident in Horth. She should win this. She has every reason to win this, every method to win this. There's nothing going against her in this fight, so she should win this. It makes sense why she's almost a minus 600 favorite when you really look at this fight. But yeah, give me Jamie Lynn Horth by decision. Alrighty, next up we got Phil Rowe versus Angelus. Now, I'm going with Luce in this fight, but it's really a coin toss fight, as the odds suggest, because really it's one of two things that's going to happen in this fight. One, Phil Rowe is going to be able to keep it from distance striking, keep the distance, and strike from range, win a decision. Or two, Ange is going to be able to close the distance, make it ugly, and pressure Rowe either with takedowns or just clinch against the cage, whatever he needs to get it done. And it's tough to really say which way this fight will go, because when you look at someone like Rowe, he's had a 100% finish rate in all of his wins, but then if you look at how it goes to a decision with him, he's 0-4 to a decision in the UFC. He has a 0% win rate when it goes to a decision. And against someone like Ange, who's durable and can easily go to a decision, it's really hard to back Rowe in here. You really think he's going to be the first one, or this is going to be his first decision win if it does go to a decision? And it easily could be. It definitely could be. I think if Rowe wins, I would guess it does go to a decision. But since he's 0-4 to a decision, it's really hard to back him on that. And I know in this big cage it does help Rowe, because he'll have a little bit more wiggle room to run around the cage, create some distance, and he'll have more ways to get out of trouble if he needs to. But it's too hard to back him. I honestly want him to win after Ange had the whole thing with Brian Battle where he really did quit out. And so I am rooting for Rowe in this, but just considering that Ange can make it ugly, can go the distance, he's durable enough to last, he can close the distance if he really wants to. I'm going to go with Ange on this one. I got him by decision. In terms of confidence, I'm really not that confident. If Rowe wins by a decision and gets his first win by decision, I wouldn't be super surprised either. This one is a tough one. I'm completely avoiding this. Betting wise, I don't have a cent on this. I'm just going to sit back and watch this and see what happens. But if I had to guess, I'll go with Ange by decision on this. Now, moving on. All right, we have Ricky Simone versus Cameron Smotherman. Now, this is my most confident pick of the entire card. It is Ricky Simone. I'm heavy on Ricky Simone this week. I'm huge on him. Now, the reason why is because Ricky Simone has every reason to win this fight. There's nothing going against him here. Now, besides the obvious, Cameron is stepping up on short notice. We know that. Now, what really makes me confident in Simone here is that when you look at Smotherman's last fight against Sari Saidi, Saidi was able to land 5 takedowns and rack up over 4 minutes of control time. And why does this matter so much? Because before that fight against Smotherman, Saidi had a 0% takedown accuracy in the UFC. And then, miraculously, in his next fight, he's able to land 5 against Smotherman. It's insane. Because if you look at his stats, he shot 0% and 0 for 4 against Garrett Armfield, and he also shot 0% and 0 for 4 against Ramon Tavares. And then he's able to go and out wrestle Smotherman. Doesn't make any sense to me. And then you throw him on short notice against a fight like Ricky Simone, or against a guy like him who's able to have a really wrestle heavy game. He's super good on the ground. He's great striking. He's all around really talented. And Ricky has a great gas tank. You look at his past wins, he's beaten guys like Marab. It's insane how much he's done. And you're throwing him against this kid in Smotherman, who I think Smotherman has potential. You know, after his last fight, it was really disappointing how he did against Saidi. It was sad to see that. I wish he would have done a lot better. But after that situation and knowing how good of a wrestler Ricky is, I think there's just no way in hell you can go against him on this. That's why I know the odds are pretty shot here, but Ricky is my most confident pick on this card. I love him to win. Now, I have him by decision here. He could win by a knockout. He could win by submission. In terms of how he gets it done, I am not very confident in that. I think probably the most likely outcome would be a knockout or decision. I have decision here on Tapology. That's what I'm going with. But I'm just playing it safe. I'm taking Ricky in a lot of parlays this week. I'm going heavy on Ricky. I'm very confident in him. And I think you should be too, for what I just said. So, yeah, give me Ricky Simone. I'll say it by decision, but I'm not going for the finish props. Or I'm not going anything specific this week. I'm just taking Ricky money line straight up. So, alrighty, next up, we got Cody Durden versus Jose Ochoa. Now, this is a weird one because I don't know how Durden is an underdog in this fight. Now, you take someone like Jose, who's 0-1 in the UFC, and sure, yeah, he went up against a good prospect like Lonair, but considering how he did in that fight, he still lost, and you're pairing him against a proven, battle-tested veteran like Cody Durden. I just don't understand how he's the favorite here. Now, Durden is the perfect gatekeeper because he'll lose to guys that are truly better than him, but he will win against guys that are not frauds, but guys that really just aren't as good as they should be or not as good as they are thought to be by the public. And I think Jose Ochoa could be that guy. Now, it's tough to really back Durden on this one because, you know, Durden has been shown to get, you know, beat by younger guys that are better than him. Like, you saw what Josh Van did to Durden, but at the same time, we just haven't seen enough from Jose to really trust him to beat a veteran like Durden. We've seen enough from Josh Van to be like, all right, you know, this kid is really good. He has what it takes. So in that case, I'm going with Durden. I think he'll win by a decision for an underdog pick here. Now, Jose could win, and if he does win, I guarantee you it will be late. I cannot see Jose winning an early finish against Durden. The only way that would happen is if he somehow manages to get a guillotine against Durden if he shoots for a takedown here early. Other than that, I don't see how it could go like that. After his last fight against Van, you know, Durden was really upset, and he even said in interviews, he said, hey, I need to work on my strength and conditioning, I need to work on my cardio, and that's what he trained on for the majority of before this fight camp started. So, you know, I'm pretty confident in Durden. It's his hometown. He wants to make a scene here. You know, he wants to make the crowd go crazy. And I like him here. Against someone like Jose Ochoa, who's really unproven, who's super green. He has what it takes to win this fight. It's just a matter of if he can stick to his game plan, if he can really get the takedowns in early. And, you know, I really like a couple plays on Durden here this week. If you want to play it a little risky, you could take his money line. Personally, I'm not going to go that far. I don't necessarily think it's really worth it. If you think it's going to go to a decision, you never know what could happen. But I really like Durden over 1.5 takedowns landed for even money here. Because if you look at his last fight against Josh Van, he got worked by Josh Van. Josh Van absolutely worked Cody Durden over 3 rounds. And I was surprised that went to a decision. But if you look at the statistics behind that fight, you can see that Durden actually landed 2 takedowns on Josh Van throughout that fight. And Josh Van has a great takedown defense rate. I forget exactly what it is off the top of my head, but I know it's over 80%. Like, it is insane considering how many guys try to take him down because they know he's a good boxer. So I think if Durden could land 2 takedowns on Josh Van where he got his ass kicked, Durden was gassed after round 1, and it really hit the fan, after round 1 for that fight for Durden, I think he could do the exact same against Jose Ochoa. So I do like the plus 3.5 spread for Durden. I think that's a good value play where you still have a little bit less risk if you think it goes to a decision. I think Durden could have a dominant round 1 if he could land some takedowns. Maybe he gasses out. Maybe Jose has a good comeback rounds 2 and 3. Maybe Durden still loses, but the plus 3.5 hits. But what I like more than that is I like the plus 2 takedowns landed. Now, Jose, he's a shoot-a-box guy. He's going to be crazy. He's going to be wanting to go on his feet. He might want to go on the ground. You never know what's going to happen with this guy. But at the same time, I think if Durden can land 2 takedowns against a guy like Josh Van, who's proven to be great in the UFC so far, he's proven to have great takedown defense, and Durden can still do that even when he looks his worst, I think he can do that against a guy like Jose Ochoa. So this week, I'm taking Durden by decision because I think if he's really worked on that cardio, because against Josh Van, it didn't look great, even though Durden is notoriously pretty good for his cardio, but in that fight, it looked really poor. If Durden has great cardio, he can land takedowns against a guy where we don't really know how his takedown defense is so far. I think he could have a lot of success, Sure, Jose, he can sprawl in some regional scene guys, but UFC is totally different. Durden's battle tested. He's proven. If Durden can land 2 takedowns against Van, I think Durden can land 2 takedowns against Jose Ochoa. And I even saw in an interview, which was pretty interesting, that Durden said he was looking to re-sign a new contract with the UFC after this fight. Now, that makes you think, all right, if he really wants a contract, he needs to win here bad. And how is he going to do that? It's not going to be standing and banging with a guy like Jose Ochoa. He's not going to try and land the submission and grapple on the ground. He's not going to try and stand and bang, throw haymakers with a guy like him. He's going to try and wrestle, in which he should. He should do what he's good at. So please, Cody Durden, if you ever saw this, just wrestle. He can out-wrestle him. He can land the takedowns. I like the plus 3.5 spread bet. I like the takedowns over 1.5 for plus 100 even odds. And I got the plus 1.5 takedowns for Durden for even odds. I really like that this week. And that's my play. And I'll take Durden by decision this week too. So moving on, Wellmaker versus Moutinho. There's not a whole lot to say about this. Give me Wellmaker. I say round 1 knockout. Now it's tough. This Moutinho guy, I feel bad for dude. I feel bad for him. He's really been through it. But at the same time, I just don't think he's cut for the UFC. There's not a whole lot to talk about this, but I think Wellmaker by KO round 1, maybe round 2. They're both pretty live. It's just a matter of how tough this guy is, but Wellmaker can hit. He can rock. So I'm going round 1 on this one. There's not a whole lot to discuss here. Give me Wellmaker by round 1 knockout. Now, this next one, honestly, it's kind of the same for this next one. Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. It's just 2 grapplers going against each other. You look at a guy like Michael Chiesa, and he was scared to throw hands with Tony Ferguson. And then you look at Court McGee, and he's 40. It's tough. Both these guys are tough. They're both good grapplers. Considering the huge money line for Chiesa here, it's so shot value-wise. There's just no value here at all. I'm completely staying away from this one. And it's kind of crazy to me because you look at someone like Court McGee, who he's never been out-grappled. That's his one thing. And then you look at Michael and you're like, all right, well, he's a grappler too. He can grapple. That's probably a good route for him to win a fight. And you throw them against each other and it's like, all right, well, maybe their grappling cancels out. This turns into a kickboxing fight. I tell you what, Michael's not looking like a -3 something in a kickboxing fight against McGee. So I'll go with Michael by decision, but this is so shot odds-wise. There's no value here at all. I am completely avoiding it. Not confident in this one at all. So we'll just move on. Alrighty, next up we got Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. Now, in this, I got Bellato by a round 1 knockout, and there's not a whole lot to talk about in this fight. Now, Paul Craig had his old middleweight run, which isn't working out, so now he's moving back up to light heavyweight. And Paul Craig is getting to the age where I just think it's probably the end of the road for him. Now, he might have 1 or 2 fights left, but I just don't see this being his comeback. I think he's moving up because he's reaching the point where he's like, all right, I don't want to cut the weight anymore. I'll just do light heavyweight, see what happens. And the face-offs were kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of funny. And Rodolfo Bellato, now he's been shinned before, but the thing with Bellato is he's had the grappling base. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I think if he lands a heavy punch, he gets Paul on the ground. I think he actually can follow Paul to the ground. I think he can get in engagements on the ground if he rocks him, and I don't think he should be afraid to do that. Now, since he has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that was his first martial art that he started in when he started training. And I think he has enough skill on the ground to be able to keep it there. You know, like if he wants to knock Paul Craig down and he wants to say, hey, I want to take it to the ground, see, I want to try and get this finish, I think he can do that. I think he has enough skill on the ground to do that. And because of that, I think chances are he probably rocks Paul Craig early. And it could be first or second round. It could go to a decision. I wouldn't be extremely surprised if it ended up going the full distance, just because they both know they have ground game possibilities. And it ends up being a point fight striking match from distance, like Paul Craig went against Bo Nickel, like how that went. But for this fight, I think Rodolfo has enough to land a heavy shot, get Craig out of there early, take it to the ground and pound, whatever he needs. I'll go Rodolfo by a round 1 knockout, maybe round 2, but I'm fairly confident in Rodolfo to get the job done here. And next up, we'll go Alonzo Menifield versus Omar Sy, or C, however you say it. Now, I feel bad for Alonzo Menifield just because, you know, he's getting older. He's been through a lot the last couple of years, but it just seems like Omar's time. Now, Omar has the advantage. He's taller, he's longer, he's younger, he's skilled more than, or he's higher skilled than Alonzo in the grappling especially. Now, the striking, you could say it's close, but since Omar has the height and reach advantage, he does have the edge there. Because Alonzo Menifield, he's never been some super technical striker. He was just a really athletic guy that decided to try his luck in the UFC, or in MMA in general. And I think minus 700 is pretty crazy for Omar here. But when you really look at it, you know, Alonzo's getting older. I think he's like 37 now, and his time in the UFC is just running out. Now, I know he's in a heavier weight class where those guys can survive a little bit longer there, but he just doesn't really have the skill to back it up. And, you know, it's tough to find any reason where Menifield really should win this fight. Now, there's always the chance that Alonzo could land a heavy knockout, like a heavy punch that connects, that Omar never saw coming, and he gets a come from behind win. That could happen. I just don't see it happening. Now, Omar, he has such a clinch game advantage with the grappling and the wrestling that he can choose to keep this fight wherever he wants it. And I just think he has enough to get the job done here. And although Menifield does have a pretty impressive takedown defense, he has a 78% takedown defense. I think if Omar wants to just keep it in the clinch and wear Menifield out, he can do that. And it might be boring, but Omar's the type of guy where he sticks to a game plan. Now, like when fights start, he doesn't necessarily waste time. If he wants to get to the grappling, he'll get there immediately. He's not near the waste time. He doesn't need to feel guys out right away. Like, he really gets to it when he wants to. And I think he has enough to get the job done here against Menifield, whether it's in the clinch or if he takes it to the ground, he has the advantage there. And I know Menifield has never been submitted, but, you know, this could be the first time that happens. But it's really tough to say. Odds-wise, the line is so shot, there's no point of doing that. However you want to say Omar gets the job done here, I have it by a round 2 knockout. It could be a submission. It could be a decision, too. It very easily could go either way here. But for odds-wise, I'll go with side by round 2 knockout. But yeah, picking a side here, KO, sub, decision, I am avoiding that entirely. But yeah, give me Omar here. Let's move on to the next one. Now, we got Brundage versus Mansur Abdul Malik. Mansur is the real deal. Cody has had a good resurgence in his last fight against Julian Marquez. He really weathered the early storm, came out and won. And he was winning the majority of that fight, but he got clipped, came back. The mouthpieces flying out was pretty funny. But Mansur is the real deal. People say Mansur is a little bit chinny because of when he got knocked down by Nick Klein. But Nick Klein landed the flushest spinning elbow to the head anyone else that gets hit by that is getting knocked out. It's not like he just took a straight jab to the face and got knocked out. He took a nasty, dirty, or not foul, but he took a clean elbow, spinning elbow, and that would rock anyone. So I don't think Mansour is chitty by any means. Now, in terms of how I think Mansour gets this done, I think he gets Brundage out of there early. I think this fight is going to start. Brundage is going to shoot right away, try to just shoot the gun there, try to make something happen right away. I don't think he's going to play it safe. I don't think he's going to try and feel Mansour out. I think he's just going to shoot for it and see whatever the hell happens. And unfortunately for Brundage, I think Mansour has the takedown defense. I think he has the counter wrestling to be able to prevent any BS that Brundage tries to hit him with. And Brundage is chinny. You know, in the past, he's quit on fights. He looks for the door. So there's no reason for me to go against Mansour here. Mansour, he's so mentally collected. Mansour has the advantage in every single aspect of this fight. Mansour is a very confident pick for me. It's hard to say, you know, Brundage always could survive until maybe a second round. So it's tough to say how this fight ends. I'd say under 2.5 is pretty safe. I'm picking round 1 just because I could see Brundage going in crazy and getting rocked. Kind of like how the Marquez fight went down. So I will say Mansour for a round 1 knockout. But if it went beyond that, I wouldn't be extremely surprised. But yeah, give me Mansour by a first round knockout. Now moving on, Cody Garbrandt versus Raoni Barcelos. Oh my God, this is a tough one too because, or not like the last one. This one is tough, kind of like the Phil Rowe versus Angelusa one, because it's like Garbrandt, he was the champion. You know, he had his time. He was so good for that one fight. But then you got him going against Raoni, where Raoni has the wrestling. You know, he can control Garbrandt if he wants to. You look at Garbrandt's last fight against Figgy, and he just had a really lackluster performance on the ground. And I know Garbrandt has attributed that loss, a lot of it to vertigo, which is totally fair. But at the same time, when you know a guy like Raoni is going to try and take it to the ground, he's going to try and wrestle and control you, just like he did against Peyton Talbot. It's hard to have any confidence in Cody, especially with his chin too. Now, with the bigger cage, it should favor Cody. And if Cody can keep it from distance, you know, maybe he can point fight his way to a decision win. But if anything goes south for Cody, I can just see Raoni take it over and landing a submission. So that's why I got Raoni by a round 3 submission. I was torn between that and decision. I think it's one of the two. I don't think Barcelos is going to chin Garbrandt. I don't see it happening. It could, though, because, you know, Cody's chin is pretty shot at this point. But I don't know. After the Figgy fight, I could see Barcelos doing the same exact thing to Garbrandt. I'm kind of torn, though. I might pick flip on this, and not in the sense of taking Garbrandt, but I could see Barcelos getting a decision win. In my heart, I wish Cody would win this. If Cody wins this fight, I will be very happy because I want to see Cody win so bad. You know, it's been tough to see him fall off after that fight against Dominic Cruz. You know, man, he was on point there for a while. It's just tough to pick Cody because you just know he's not that reliable. Or at least Barcelos, you know, if he has a game plan where he can win and he knows that ahead of time, he will stick to that game plan. Yeah, I'm rooting for Garbrandt, but I'll lean Barcelos in the pick. Next up, another one. This is tough. I don't even want to talk about this fight, honestly. Shabazian early knockout or Petrosky for a late decision win or a late submission win. Shabazian has no damn stamina. He's just so unreliable past the first round. If this goes how like it went with his fight against GM3, I would not be surprised. Shabazian's young, so he still has potential. Petrosky's a little bit older. It's just so damn tough to predict. This one, it seems like a coin toss. And I know the odds have tightened up. I don't want to go anywhere near this. The only thing that's kind of appealing in the slightest bit is Shabazian by KO or Petrosky by decision. I don't hate that. Or if you wanted the Shabazian by knockout or Petrosky by submission, for Petrosky for sub or decision as a double play, I don't hate that. But it's just too damn risky. Petrosky has a glass chin. Shabazian has no cardio. I don't trust either of these guys. and I'd be damned losing money on either of these guys. I don't trust them. And it's one of those fights, no matter how much you look into it, there's no lean that's really going to stand out that much. I'll go Shabazian by round 1 knockout just because Petrosky has the most glass chin I've ever seen. If Shabazian had good cardio, I would say Shabazian by knockout or Petrosky by decision is a lock. But considering Shabazian has no cardio, can't trust him at all in this. This is a coin toss here. But I'll go Shabazian round 1 knockout. But if not, it's going to be a Andre Petrosky late sub or decision. Guarantee it. Now, next up, we got Rose versus Miranda Maverick. I know Rose is a heavy favorite here. And the thing with Rose is I always look back to where she beat Weili. It's like, who's beating Weili now? No one. And Rose beat her? You got to put some respect on Rose's name. And in a 3-round fight, I think it favors Rose. The big cage, too. I like Miranda, too. She's pretty cool. But I just don't think she's on the caliber of Rose just yet. You know, she's young. She's a recent mom. She has a lot going on in her life that she's focusing on outside of the cage. And I think Rose is really taking her career seriously. You know, she's kind of on the second wave of her career where she's like, all right, you know, I'm not done yet. She has more in the tank. She has more to prove. She can bounce back. She can start another title run. Like, she's there. So this fight, I mean, it really comes down to can Miranda land takedowns or not. If Miranda lands takedowns in every round, she'll win a decision here. If not, Rose will win a decision. I don't see either of these fighters knocking each other out or submitting each other. I don't see it. Miranda, she takes people to the ground. She's not really always going for that sub. She likes the position. So it's just whatever you think. If you think Rose can keep it on the feet and strike and win a point fight, that's valid. If you think Miranda lands the takedowns, it's not an insane take to have. Personally, I don't think it happens. I don't think Miranda's quite there yet. Their skills to be able to do that. I think Rose can keep it on the feet and land a decision win here. But, you know, it's closer than the line suggests, in my opinion, personally. But it's tough. It's a tough one to pick. But I'll go with Rose. Decent confidence. You know, she should win this fight. She really should. Miranda should not win this. But there's always that chance that Miranda does land takedowns. You know, you never know how she's going to progress as she ages. But Give me Rose. We'll take her by decision here. Now, final fight of the night. We got Buckley versus Usman. And this is so tough. Emotionally, I am compromised in this fight. I love Usman. I wish he would win this. I wanted him to beat Khamzat. It's tough. It's so tough to pick against him. Because if you took him a couple years ago, stylistically, he'd be an absolute lock against Buckley. I think Buckley's a little overrated. Buckley's good. He's growing. He's getting better with every fight. I just don't see him getting the belt anytime soon. I don't see it. Against this fight with Wonder Boy, he was losing the entire fight. Then he clips Wonder Boy. All right, then he wins that fight. It's just like little fights like that where you're like, all right, he's getting out in a point fight. He's getting outpointed or outscored. Like he's not winning these fights unless he lands the knockout. And I know against Colby, he beat Colby, beat him down, beat his brakes off. That totally fair. But I look against this fight with Wonder Boy, and I just think Wonder Boy's really good. Like I love Wonder Boy too, but at the same time, he wasn't gonna win that fight unless he landed that knockout in the 3rd round. And that should have you pretty. I'm not super concerned, but that's a worry to have considering he's almost a minus 300 favorite here. And Usman is regarded as one of the best welterweights of all time. It's just age. Age is the biggest factor here. With Usman and his knees, all the problems he's had, the long layoff. He's 38 now. Father Time never loses. And that's the only factor here is Usman's health and his age. Because if it was 3 years ago, Usman would be an absolute lock. Buckley would have no chance. We've seen Buckley outstriked. Like, we've seen him lose clear as day. I know he's having his resurgence here in welterweight, and he's feeling himself. And I know he called out Usman, so it's kind of, it's the fight that he wants. And he should win this fight. Like, he should win this fight. He should have enough power to get him down. Whether it's a knockout or a decision win, who knows, in a 5-rounder. But it's one of those things, it's just Usman's getting old enough. Buckley has enough power to land a knockout. And in 5 rounds, you would hope Buckley has the shot available at some point during this fight to get Usman out of there. So yeah, I gotta go with Buckley. I think it'll be a KO. Oh, I didn't even have the round. I'll say KO round 3, round 4. I'll go round 4. Yeah, I think it'll be late just because Usman's so skilled. I don't see him getting clipped early, but with Buckley's power, you never know how it could go. But yeah, I'll go Buckley. Decently confident that Buckley wins this fight in terms of how it's done, knockout or decision. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I like that. That's the last pick for today. So yeah, guys, that's my final overview for my picks for UFC Atlanta, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys found some value. Follow for more. We're doing these videos every week, and I know this one's late. I'm here recording this one at 2:45 a.m. So yeah, it's been a late night. So sorry for a little bit sounding tired or whatnot. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and come back for next week. I'll have more videos for the next card, and yeah, I'll have a video out for some bets and plays that I like for the next coming cards too. So there'll be more on the way, more for you guys to see, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I'll catch you guys later.